At level 1 in D&D, your hit points usually are a D6, a D8, a D10, or a D12. At level 1, your character is going to have 8.6 hit points, on average. But in D&D, we round down, so it's basically 8. A commoner, an average humanoid, has 4 hit points, and a tiny beast like a bat has 1. So what is 1 point of damage? Hit points in D&D are described as a representation of a combination of physical and mental durability, the will to live, and luck. Creatures with more hit points are more difficult to kill. Those with fewer hit points are more fragile. So the book says it's a lot of things. There's also lots of systems that completely change up how hit points work to begin with. Savage Worlds has wounds, City of Mist has negative conditions, but one of my favorites is Starfinder, Pathfinder in space, where you basically have stamina points on top of your hit points. Damage, instead of going directly to your hit points, goes first into your stamina. It's as if your character is either dodging or kind of attempting to survive the battle, and they get worn out. However, stamina points can be recovered far easier at around 10 minutes if you use a resolve point, which allows for longer dungeon crawls or abandoned spaceship crawls. Because you can recover those stamina points after 10 minutes, you don't have to short rest every time your party fights a couple of goblins. D&D kind of combines all of that together for simplicity's sake. The way I've always seen it is if the damage was like really tiny, then it was like a scratch or the character just barely dodged the attack. But if it was really big, then it like pierced the skin or there's actually damage going on there. And then we all just forget that bleeding out is a thing that can happen to your body. I guess that's death saves. Regardless, I really like this line right here. The will to live and luck. I recently just beat Uncharted 4 and I love the game. One of the developers was talking about how Nathan Drake, the main character that you play, doesn't really have health, but instead, every time you get hit by a bullet, it's not actually hitting him, it's just his luck running out, and the final bullet that hits you is the one that kills you. And I really like this concept, especially for bards. Having all your damage just be you dodging or having the attacks missing just by dumb luck is hilarious and great. And also because damage doesn't do anything. All hit points are a measurement of how close you are to being unconscious. There's no negatives to taking damage, and there's nothing that happens unless an ability specifies or there's something that requires you to, like, touch a creature. Like a Monk's Stunning Strike. A Monk's Stunning Strike, like, has to hit flesh in order for you to actually stun them. You can't just be like, oops, I missed, but now you can't move anymore. Also, the other crappy part is that players don't really like this narrative. At least mine don't. Firing 8 arrows at a creature and then having the one last one actually hit and kill him can feel really lame. But I think it depends on the monster. You could fire a bajillion arrows into a pit fiend, but maybe an assassin who's really good at dex and has a lot of hit points is meant to have all of those arrows miss. I want to encourage players to kind of have an open mind about this. It's kind of a neat way to play D&D, even if it means your attacks don't always hit. They're technically hitting, you're doing damage in the stats, but in the description, it doesn't really matter. Maybe, like I said before, big spell sponge pit fiends can take a lot of hits, but they just shake them off because they don't mean anything to them. But one person gets it down and gets that one lucky hit that is able to kill it. Anyways, with all of that out of the way, let's answer our question. What is 1 point of damage? Well, if you're a level 1 bard and you have a +0 constitution, you would have 8 hit points. So 1 point of damage would be whatever would bring you 12.5% closer to being in an unconscious state that would have a 40% chance of dying. That's a hit point of damage. It's really fun to think about because it really means damage could be anything. Sure, the book specifies, piercing damage, lightning damage, but that's just for the book's clarification and maybe resistances and vulnerabilities. Because damage has no other effect in game other than showing you how close you are to dying, it can be anything. It can be trauma, it can be scratches on your skin, it could be burns, it can be stress, it could be you getting tired, or it could be dumb luck. So, what is 1 point of damage? It can be whatever you want. Thanks for watching my video, guys, and please make sure to check out the sponsor. They help me out so much. World Anvil is a website made for dungeon masters, writers, and world builders. You can make interactive maps, articles on your factions, or even in-depth guides to locations. Players can even make characters and join campaigns. It's really for anyone. It's really fun to sit down on this site and just be as creative as possible and put things into your world however you want. Get started today and use my 20% off coupon code XP to level 3, no spaces, all caps. There's a link in the description and the comments.